law professor at the University of South Carolina, faculty director of the Excellence in Policing and Public Safety program there. My comments today are my own and do not necessarily reflect the views of my employer. I've spent the last 13 years studying policing. I'm also a former police officer. This administration's approach to immigration enforcement falls far short of professional norms. This is not policing. This is not normal. And this is neither professionally nor democratically acceptable. I want to be clear that my comments are not about federal immigration policy. Reasonable people can disagree on policy and yet still agree with something more fundamental, that any enforcement must be performed professionally, legally, and safely. That is not what we see right now. Instead, we see a lack of interagency collaboration or even basic communication, reducing both efficiency and public trust. We see poor tactics that put community members and federal agents themselves in unnecessary danger, and we see profound failures of leadership after critical incidents that never should have happened. With regard to interagency collaboration, federal law enforcement has partnered with state and local agencies for generations. Highly targeted police efforts have long been known to be the most effective approach to enforcement, but they depend heavily on local knowledge, relationships, and expertise that federal agents lack. Today, we see federal immigration authorities simply ignoring established channels of communication, demanding state and local agencies blindly comply with federal priorities in contravention of basic tenets of federalism. We see federal immigration authorities sending in agents who appear to have no connection with, insight into, or even basic concern for the communities they are in. Having deprived themselves of a scalpel, federal officials have fallen back on the hammer, using dragnet-style enforcement tactics that are demonstrably overbroad. According to government data, more than half of ICE detainees have no criminal record, and only a very small percentage have been convicted of any violent crimes. We see similar departures from established professional norms when it comes to what immigration officials are doing in the field. Professional policing depends on clear identification, including uniforms, badges, and, in most cases, visible faces. Thank you. That reduces the risk of tragic misidentification, both blue-on-blue shootings and defensive violence by confused citizens. By contrast, recent federal operations have involved officers in plainclothes and masks, sometimes refusing to identify themselves even when asked, leading to dangerous confusion. Among other things, local officers have responded to kidnapping and shooting in progress calls. In one incident, a local officer drew his weapon on a motorist that he saw pointing a gun at someone else, only to later learn that that motorist was an ICE agent. Professional policing also depends on sound tactics to keep officers and community members safe. This includes, among other things, attempting to de-escalate passively non-compliant subjects, such as those who fail to exit their vehicles when initially commanded to do so. But we see federal agents rushing vehicles, prying on door handles, and breaking windows within seconds of initiating an encounter. This is substantially more likely to scare a non-compliant subject into actively attempting to escape a potential assault. Good tactics include preemptively avoiding the risk of being struck by a vehicle by not stepping in front of vehicles. But we see federal agents taking and maintaining positions in front of vehicles. Good tactics include not shooting at moving vehicles, a practice professional policing has constrained for decades, both because it is unlikely to actually stop the vehicle from moving and it can create an unguided missile. There have been at least 10 instances of federal immigration officials doing exactly that in the past few months. We've also seen uses of force that appear on their face to be deeply problematic or simply outright excessive. An agent in Cicero, Illinois, deploying pepper spray into the window of a moving vehicle with a toddler inside. An agent in Chicago who, from a position on a nearby roof, shot a minister who was standing on the sidewalk below in the head with pepper balls. and agents in Minneapolis, New York, Los Angeles, and elsewhere shoving people to the ground, including some people who appear to have no idea that they are even being approached by agents, to say nothing of the stories you've already heard from other witnesses today. When the actions of a law enforcement officer results in a loss of life, as we've seen most recently with the killings of Renee Good and Alex Preddy, professional policing should follow a disciplined protocol. Conduct a thorough investigation while sharing what is known, identifying what is unknown, and avoiding speculation. Competent leaders know that premature narratives can contaminate investigations and corrode trust. But we've seen senior officials issue definitive, exonerating conclusions within hours of an incident, far sooner than would be possible with any careful inquiry. We've also seen public claims about absolute immunity that are legally incorrect. These statements signal that any oversight is purely performative, that accountability and outcomes are preordained. More troublingly, we've seen traditional accountability mechanisms sidelined in ways that repeatedly prompted resignations by experienced attorneys and investigating agents. This is an extraordinary warning sign that critical safeguards are being bypassed or weakened. We are in the terrifying position of seeing federal agencies unwilling or unable to conduct the kind of thorough, meticulous investigations that these incidents demand, or even denying that any investigation is necessary, when we can plainly see that it is. Abandoning these long-standing principles, threatening state and local officials, sidelining highly experienced and deeply dedicated public servants, precluding accountability by actively inhibiting any meaningful review, these are not normal decisions. History suggests that these are the hallmarks of authoritarianism. These deviations from long-standing professional norms should be deeply concerning. Equally concerning is the effect that this administration's approach will have in the future as thousands of ICE agents who have recently been hired or who are going to continue to be hired will eventually change jobs, moving into other aspects of federal law enforcement or taking jobs with state and local agencies. What we're seeing right now is not normal, but if it is not addressed, it will become normal. And that will send professional policing back decades, and the cost will be in lives. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to your questions.
Support journalism you trust. Support PBS News. Donate now, or even better, start a monthly contribution today.